Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the giallo, la Tarantola dal Ventre Nero, which means the tarantula with the black belly, or rephrased for English audiences, the black belly of the tarantula. Now, this is a giallo that is directly influenced by the Dario Argento gialli, especially the bird with the crystal plumage. This is directed by Paolo Cavara, who is most famous for his first film, Mondo Cane, which means Doggish World, which came out in the early 60s and basically just exploits all these different cultures around the world. It's kind of a racist movie, but it's like a documentary. It's kind of not racist because they do the same thing with cultures across the whole world. It really depends on your viewpoint. Either way, I tried to watch it and really couldn't. Some of the footage in that is somewhat interesting, but then the commentary is no good. Also, some of the scenes are hard to watch. There's a lot of animal brutality in it. Anyway, it was a huge hit when it came out in the 60s, and he did 2 more movies like that, and a whole bunch of other directors did movies like that, and I will probably not watch any of them. But then he made a movie about someone making a Mondo movie, which sounds interesting. It's kind of meta. That one wasn't available anywhere, so I haven't seen it. Then he made some kind of action film. Then he made this. Like I said, it's directly influenced by Dario Argento. Argento transformed the giallo genre, which we've talked about before. And of course, it's got the animal in the title theme, which we've seen with Bird of the Crystal Plumage, Cat of Nine Tails, Lizard in a Woman's Skin, all of which were scored by Ennio Morricone, who also scored this, wrote the music, and like some of those others and many gialli to follow, we have strange vocals inside the score, like whispering, exhaling types stuff like that. So that sets the mood. It's pretty good. This movie is good. I give it an 8 out of 10. Unlike Argento films, the main character is a cop. He is an inspector. Usually in the Argento gialli, we have amateurs trying to solve mysteries, but in this one, it's actually an inspector. So it's almost like the reverse. Like, it's almost more conventional than a regular giallo because you just have police trying to find the criminal. But the thing that sets it apart, which every single one of these movies does something to try and make it stand out, and what makes this one stand out is the fact that the main murder weapon, well, there's actually 2, but one of the main murder weapons is, and you don't see it here, but you can see it here, an acupuncture needle. So this is the first time I've seen any movie where an acupuncture needle is made use of in a great important plot point. And so the killer shoves this acupuncture needle into the victim's neck, the back of the neck, the spine, paralyzes them, and then carves them up with a knife. You always see the acupuncture go into the spine. Actually, not sure how they did that. Maybe they had trick needles or something, but it looks like it's going way in there. The knife carving, it's the early 70s without a huge budget, but the knife carving doesn't look super real, but it's real enough. We don't need it to be that much crazier because we already have the needle. In addition to these things, well, let's just say 8 out of 10. I would give this one a watch. It's on Shudder if you have Shudder. It's also on Tubi if you don't have Shudder. You can watch it with a few advertisements for free on Tubi, or you can watch it on Shudder without the breaks. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you go see it. I'm going to talk about a few details now that made the movie great. Not spoilers, okay, not deep plot spoilers. I'm not going to tell you who the killer is. Well, maybe I will. But if you haven't seen it, I would go watch it now, then come back and watch the rest of the video. Anyway, couple things, very Argento-esque. Weird things that happen that don't need to, but just make the movie cooler. One of them being that there is a portion of the movie that takes place at a spa. Now, it's hard for me to know if this would be a normal thing at a Roman spa in 1971, or if this was like quirky, or if this was just normal for the time or normal for the place. But there's all this weird spa stuff going on, including a large pool. One scene takes place inside an outdoor pool that has a weird clear dome over it. So it's like indoor, but it's outdoor. And like it lets the sun through. I imagine it would have had like some kind of greenhouse effect. Also, it would stop the rain, so you could still swim outside, but while it's raining. There's also a woman with a full-fledged mustache. There's a gay waiter, which is very Argento-esque because he usually sneaks a gay character in there, which is really not common if you watch all the other horror films of the time. But Argento usually stuck one in there, and so Paolo Cavara also stuck in a gay character. There's also a blind character, which is Argento-esque, but yeah, because Cat of Nine Tails, we had that blind protagonist. There's blind characters in a lot of Argento films. There's a blind character in this one. The blind character in this one is a masseuse at the spa. And I guess this isn't that quirky, but I just love it. There is a chase scene on foot across a rooftop of what seems to be at least a 10-story building in Rome. And it was intense and it was well done. And I don't know if I've ever said this on here, but one of my favorite things in a horror movie, or I guess an action movie, even though I don't watch action movies unless they're horror, but is when someone falls off a cliff or a building and they film the whole fall, especially when it's a mannequin, so they don't have to cut away at any point. Like, if it was a person falling, you couldn't see the impact, but when it's a mannequin, you can see the impact. So even though it may look fake, it looks more real than if it was a real person because you don't see the real person hit. So in this one, when the mannequin falls off the building on its way down, it's falling off like inside the building. Now, I've never seen this in the United States, but I've seen it in London, and apparently they do it in Rome too, where if you're looking down like at a top-down view, the building is a square and like the inside is hollow. So I guess there might be a courtyard at the bottom. In London, I've seen it where there's another building inside, like a separate building that's like encompassed by the bigger building. But anyway, they threw a mannequin down the middle of the building and filmed it the whole way down. And when they threw it down, the mannequin's head like smashes a window on the way down, then hits. And it like I said, it looks fake, but it looks real. Like that window really broke. You know, a heavy mannequin was really thrown off a building, and it really smashed into a window, bounced off it, and then fell the rest of the way down and like smashes on the pavement. So, like I said, you can't do that with a real person falling. Even if you show the person falling part of the way, you can't see the impact. And in the modern day, there would probably be some computer touched up images to make it look like someone fell, but obviously that would be fake, and probably the impact would be fake in order to reduce damage costs. But in here you get real damage, somewhat real impact of something hitting. It doesn't really matter to me that it's a mannequin. Obviously they're not going to kill a person. That would be bad. So I really like that. So yeah, between the quirky characters, the needles, and the throwing off of the person off the roof, the chase scene, there was a good fight scene at the end. I'm not going to say who the killer was, although I will say that usually, there's a little bit of a spoiler, but usually in an Argento giallo, the killer reveal is shocking because you never would have guessed it would have been that important character that was killing people the whole time. And in this one, like, it was a very, very minor character that ended up being the killer. So that is a spoiler, but if you are watching this far, hopefully you've already seen it. But it was such a minor character to me that, like, I was like, okay, he's the killer, like, who cares? Also, Argento always uses black gloves, and in this one they use like latex gloves, like brown latex gloves. Again, maybe that was more common in the 70s, or maybe just in Italy in the 70s, but they're not black leather gloves, they're brown latex gloves. And there are multiple scenes where different people are using brown latex gloves for their jobs, which kind of, like, you know, makes you wonder if they're going to be the killer, although I never thought they were the killer because that would have just been too obvious. So yeah, 8 out of 10. The lead actor, who I think his name is Giancarlo Giannini, pretty sure he was in the movie Hannibal, like 3 decades later. Hannibal as in the follow-up to Silence of the Lambs, and I do believe he plays an Italian inspector, so basically the same role that he plays in this film. So that's cool. I think that's pretty much it for this one. If you have been following these, sorry this was 2 weeks. I usually put one up a week, but this has been 2 weeks. Got really busy. Also, in the last couple of weeks, the channel has gone through the roof with attention. The last video I put up, Werewolves on Wheels, has over 1,000 views in 2 weeks. That's the first time that's ever happened. So thank you for watching. If you made it this far, maybe I should put this at the beginning of a video, but if you made it this far, if you like it, go ahead and hit subscribe. I see thousands of people are watching the videos, but not that many people are subscribed, so do me a favor and hit subscribe. Okay, see you next time.